HOA fees have skyrocketed in Colorado. And in this video, I'm going to take a look at how much they've actually gone up in the past few years, and it's very surprising, and what that means for someone living in an HOA community or considering buying a home with an HOA attached to it. In case you don't know, I'm Sam, local real estate agent here in Denver. Would love to be your go-to real estate resource for anything in Colorado. People reach out from this channel all the time, and I would love for you to reach out as well. Okay, so in the past couple of years, a lot of things have increased in cost, right? We've seen inflation, we've seen gas, groceries, all kinds of things rise in prices, some of them dramatically, and HOA dues are no different. HOAs have increased their dues across the country, and Colorado homeowners with HOAs are being hit especially hard. Here's one example. A 9 News article interviewed a Arvada homeowner who owned a condo, and she saw her HOA dues in one fell swoop go up from $346 a month to $620, nearly doubled with one letter. And this could be especially frustrating, more so than a lot of the other inflationary issues, because with HOA dues, if you already own there, you don't really have a choice. We'll talk about it later. There's some things you can do, but if the HOA decides the dues are going up, if they need to do a special assessment or just up the regular assessments, you got to pay. So what's going on here? Well, like I said before, the cost of everything has basically gone up the last few years, but HOA dues are especially being driven up by higher insurance premiums. And the hits are being felt the worst by condo owners. You can have an HOA on a single family home, obviously too, but they tend to be lower and fluctuate less. But condo buildings are really being hit right now by higher HOA dues, especially with the insurance premiums. 9 News mentions that some insurance premiums for condo buildings have more than doubled year over year. So these condo associations are being required to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars more than they had been previously. Well, yeah, of course your HOA dues are going to go up, and they're going to go up by a lot. Insurance premiums are going up for a number of factors nationally, but locally, especially due to the Marshall fires a few years ago. Since those fires happened so close to and actually in some of the suburbs, insurance providers have been dramatically redoing the way they do things. They've been denying coverage to some homeowners, and they've been jacking up the prices to other homeowners. More risk comes with more cost. And in the 9 News article, an attorney who represents HOA boards is quoted as saying that this is the biggest crisis to hit HOAs in the last 17 years. We're feeling it especially here in Colorado. One 2023 report ranked Colorado 4th highest nationally in HOA dues. We have the 4th highest HOA dues on average in the nation. And that was 2023. I just ran the numbers and it's gone up since then. And we'll get to those numbers in a sec, but where this HOA issue is the most important right now is with condos and townhomes, because at the same time that these HOA dues are skyrocketing, condos and townhomes in Colorado and in the Denver metro are becoming more and more affordable as opposed to single family homes. So in terms of home prices, where over the last 4 years, for the majority of the time, it's been difficult or near impossible to get into a single family home that meets your needs, well, condos and townhomes have gotten kind of more and more accessible in that time. Their purchase prices have stayed flat or even come down in many areas. In fact, Realtor.com did a study on the cities with the biggest affordability difference between single family homes and attached homes, so condos and townhomes, and found that Denver had the 8th biggest difference of every city in the nation, meaning Denver had the 8th biggest spread between the average home price of a single family home and the average home price of a condo or townhome. Locally, depending on the data source you look at, this is reflected in the inventory that's on the market for sale. You can look at it a few different ways and you can take the data to do a few different things, but basically there's going to be about twice as many condos for sale as there are single family homes when measured in months of supply. That's how we measure these things, months of supply. And there's about double the months of supply for these attached properties as there are for single family homes, meaning more and more opportunity for buyers. And that's of course keeping prices lower. The other thing too is just there's way more affordable options overall when you're looking at condos and townhomes. There's way more options under $500,000, for example, than there is for a single family home in the Denver metro. So it's a much more accessible path to homeownership than it is if you want the house with a yard. And so why is that, real quick? A big part of it is the lingering effects of COVID. I mean, attached properties have always lagged behind detached properties in terms of value, right? But during COVID, people shifted the way they did things. We were staying inside and we were staying isolated much more than we ever have in my life. And so that meant people wanted more space in the home and more outdoor space to enjoy because they're at home more. So of course, that meant single family homes became more and more valuable. So that made the condo market in Denver get crushed. Condos were sitting for months, even a year, while other homes sold like hotcakes, no contingencies, first weekend on the market. And many of those factors have lingered. Think about it now. If people are looking to buy a home, many of them are going to want what? A space for a home office, or even two if both partners are working from home. Space is still at a premium due to remote work. Will that be the case forever? I don't know. But right now, what I do know is there's great opportunities for home buyers when it comes to condos. Much more affordable, much more accessible. There's the issue of the pesky HOA fees. So it's sort of the seesaw there where you're getting a break on purchase price, but you're having to deal with the HOA fees. So how much have the HOA fees actually gone up? Well, this is tough to figure out because there's no one central repository for all this data, right? So I went and pulled some of the data myself. It's not perfect, but it does give us an idea of what's going on. Here's what I did. I went into the MLS and I took all of the properties that are listed either on the market, pending, or have closed in 2024. All of the properties that are condos or townhomes with an HOA in the city of Denver. And I averaged out those HOA fees. And then I took it and I compared it to the average HOA fees of the exact same data set of properties that sold in 2022. It's not perfect. It's obviously not a scientific study, but it does give us an idea of the average HOA fees in the market. And the jump from 2022 was pretty astounding. The average monthly HOA fees for the properties sold in 2022 was $388. Now keep in mind, this is just for attached properties, condos and townhomes. For single family properties with an HOA, those dues are typically going to be lower. But for those same condos and townhomes, the average HOA fee in 2024, $478. Yeah, gone up over $100 in monthly HOA dues in less than 2 years. That is a 23% gain. It's insane, borderline astronomical, but unfortunately in line with what's going on with general prices rising across the board, and it's a reaction to these insurance premiums going through the roof. Okay, so what can you do? What can you do, number one, if you live in one of these HOA communities and your fees are skyrocketing? And what can you do, number two, if you're thinking about buying a home with an HOA? If you're wanting to take advantage of this opportunity for condos and townhomes right now on the market, but you're wondering about these HOA fees. Well, as anyone who's lived in an HOA community will tell you, if you live there, there's not a ton you can do. If the HOA passes the rise in assessments, you got to pay the assessments or be kicked out. So if you want to fight it, you can get involved. It's like the last thing I want to tell anybody to do, because the last thing I want to do is add one more thing to my plate, but not everybody's the same way. And you may already be involved in your HOA board, or you may have been considering getting involved, and this could be the push you need. Now, it may not make sense to get involved and try to keep the HOA dues low. I mean, many of the time people who are getting in these positions thinking they're going to change something, see the data and go, well, we have to raise fees, otherwise we're going to be insolvent. So unfortunately, there's not a ton of area of recourse, but being involved will at least give you a better idea of what's going on and give you more confidence that if the fees are going up, they need to be going up. What about if you're thinking of buying a place? What should you be looking for? Well, number one, during the purchase process, so between contract and closing, the seller is required to deliver all the HOA documents. It is highly advisable to do your due diligence in reading through these things thoroughly, examining the meeting minutes, the HOA reserves, the general health of the HOA, whether there's any pending special assessments, any pending litigation. All these things are going to give you an idea of overall in what kind of shape the HOA is in, and whether or not these fees have a probability of rising more soon. The other thing I always say is if you're paying an HOA, just make sure you're getting something for it. The truth is, it seems like a ton of extra money to spend $500 a month on top of your mortgage for just to be the part of an HOA. But most of the time, especially in condo buildings, you're getting something for it that you'd already be paying for anyway. It's probably not going to cover the total cost, but it'll get you close. Heat, electricity, some of them cover internet, many even TV. Oftentimes there's common elements that you're going to benefit from. I just say if you're paying an HOA fee, especially a healthy one, make sure you're getting something for it. Make sure they are covering some of your utilities. Make sure there are some amenities if that's something you're interested in. Maybe there's a great gym at the condo complex, and that can replace your current gym membership. Thinking about it that way makes it a lot more palatable for most people. And by the way, what if you're thinking about renting rather than buying and want to know what Denver rents are doing right now? Those are going the other way. I did a video on that. You can check that out here. Otherwise, I love you. See you soon.